This is James Elder for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm quite fortunate enough to be joined by the Ginley brothers today in Belfast. How are we?
Very good.
That's what I like to hear. Firstly, let's talk a little bit about your background. Ray, tell us a little bit about yourself firstly.
I'm probably the youngest coach in the UK at the minute. I'm only just turned 24 last month. Had a turned professional when I was 18. Didn't have much senior experience. Had 6 professional fights. 2 of them were out in the States, and ended up retiring at 6-0 due to an injury. Came home, was doing a bit of personal training, and then was approached by a couple of fighters to help them with their strength and conditioning. And after a few months working with them, they asked me to be their boxing coach. And from that, I've about eight pro fighters in my stable. And you know, I'm only a professional boxing coach about 6 months, if even. And I had my first British title fight with Anthony Kakachi in Wembley Arena just 2 weeks ago. So, you know, things have really took off for me. And if you'd asked me 6 months ago would I see myself where I am now, I'd have said no, but this is just the way it's all happened for me, and I'm loving being back involved in boxing again.
We're going to come on Kakachi and a little bit on the stable firstly.
2 seconds, mate. My phone keeps going off here and I don't want you to slobber at me.
I wouldn't have the audacity to do that. Mark, tell us a little bit about your background, please, mate.
Alright, I used to box with Ray, Tyrone, Tommy McCarthy and stuff. We all boxed for Albert Plunkett Club. I turned pro when I was about 21. I was pro for 2 years, 5-1 record, and then due to cuts I had to stop. Just like getting the wars too much. But from then I was always involved in like running unlicensed boxing events and white collar events, and then recently I've just dabbled my foot in professional. But I did manage Tyrone and I managed him for a fight, so after I couldn't do no more with Tyrone, then I sort of passed him. I asked MTK would they take him on, and obviously they jumped at the chance because he's top prospect.
It's quite bizarre. I mean, you're 11-1 between you, and neither of you have sort of carried and decided to carry on with your boxing, so quite an interesting thing in itself.
Just looking after the face.
That's it.
Is it true you could get cut by a Rizzler paper, Mark?
Yeah.
You would look at him and think he's a boxer, but you wouldn't look at me and think I'm a boxer. So you can tell who was a better brother out of the two.
I mean, you spent a lot of time in Philadelphia as a boxer, as a pro. That must have been a fantastic learning experience and probably helped your coaching a little bit as well.
Mate, Philadelphia was an experience. I remember me, Tyrone and Anto Kakachi went over, and the first day getting into Schuler's gym in West Philadelphia, 3 white boys, the whole gym was black, and they just looked, everyone, the whole gym just stopped, started staring at us, and like it took us at least 2 months before people would really start respecting us. So we had to beat up a few people, and then we earned our respect. But I was training with Tim Witherspoon, former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, for a few months, and then I ended up being trained by a coach called Bozy Ennis. The 3 of us were trained by him, and learned a lot, you know. And
Bozy Ennis, very respected trainer as well.
He trains his 3 sons were all, 2 of his sons were in the top 10, but his youngest son, Jerron Ennis, was actually beat by Gary Russell Jr.'s younger brother, Gary Antoine. Do you know that all Gary Russell's brothers are called Gary?
It's a weird fact that I wasn't aware of.
Mate, every one of Gary, they're all called Gary. So he fought Gary Antoine. And
how many brothers does he have?
I don't know, there's about 4 or 5 of them, like, all called Gary.
Wow.
And so Bozy Ennis is a great trainer, and I've took things from my experience out there, and I'm playing it with my own fighters now.
Now let's talk a little bit about some of the fighters that you've got in the gym. We saw Anthony Kakachi or Kakase, something that always bugs me.
Kakachi, and my name's Ray Ginley, by the way. ITV had me Roy Ginley.
Calm down, Roy.
Everyone in Belfast is calling me Roy.
Oh, that's fine.
Taking the piss out of me, but it's Ray Ginley, so make sure I'm down as Ray Ginley.
Right.
And what's his
It's
name?
Kakachi.
Kakachi.
Not Kakase, as was
No.
being pronounced on the telly.
Kakachi.
Alright. Let's talk a little bit about Kakachi. We saw him in a British title clash with Martin J. Ward.
Yes.
Very interesting fight. The tactics as well, very interesting from your guys' point of view. Firstly, how did you score the fight?
Honestly, when we were in we train our fighters, defense, and we are always about hit and don't be hit. And our tactics getting into the fight would watch Martin Ward's last 3 fights, and they were all against 3 southpaws. And I noticed that he falls in a lot with his backhand, falls over. And in the sparring coming up to the fight, and it was boxing southpaw, and we both agreed that if we can capitalise on Martin Ward falling in and counter him with the backhand, that we could potentially, hurt him. And it ended up going over the first sort of 6 rounds. I thought the game plan that we had was working. He was falling short. We were catching him with the counter, but then he adapted in the second half of the fight, and he started to sort of find his range a bit. But I really like getting into the ring, like when the bell rang for the final round. Like me and my friend of mine, D. Waltz, that helps me in the corner. We were convinced we'd won the fight, and I we we'd won by about 2-3 rounds. And then when I watched it back the other day,
I had it by 1.
1?
I
had it by about 4 or 5, because the way I look at it, if he wasn't getting hit, he wasn't losing rounds. But maybe I am a bit biased, but I really think we should have a British and Commonwealth champion in the stable. But you know what? It's actually worked out a blessing, because he's actually probably got more publicity out of it, because everyone in Belfast is sort of think it's an injustice done against him. And when people in Belfast see an injustice done against somebody, they tend to really get behind them. So Anto's stock has risen regardless of the outcome of that fight. So we're hoping now that we can get another big fight, hopefully with James Tennyson on Ryan Burnett's undercard, because I believe that's a fight that the Belfast fight fans would want. It makes sense. Anto, I think's up to number 6 in Britain, and James Tennyson's in the top 10. Why not have them both fight each other? James Tennyson comes forward. We all know both of them are big punchers, so it's a fight everyone wants to see.
The Tennyson fight certainly has appeal. I mean, with the Martin J. Ward fight, I know the promoting side isn't down to you guys, but with your promoter winning the purse bid, do you think it could have been different if the fight had been staged in Belfast rather than him having to go away?
I do think if we had the fight in Belfast, that we'd definitely have a British champion, British and Commonwealth champion in the stable, because I thought Anto won the fight, and if it was in Belfast, any close rounds would have probably went Anto's way. It would have been a lot in his favour. But I don't manage Anto, I don't promote Anto, so I'm only his coach, and I respect his manager and his promoter. So whatever decision they make, I just make sure that any fight he goes into, that I have him in the best shape possible.
Now, one fighter in the stable that you guys will know a lot more about than myself, but been winning a lot of reviews, is Lewis Crocker. What can you guys tell me about Lewis? Now, I'll start with you, Mark, because you've been a bit quiet for a couple of minutes, which is unlike you. What can you tell us about
I
Lewis?
thought he was just a one-trick pony, and then I went up to the gym a couple of days and watched him spar and stuff, and the kid's dynamite. He can box southpaw, orthodox, and he has every punch in the book. A couple of times he was like a matrix in there. I think he's the next big thing.
In comparison to some of the fighters that you've got in Belfast, established fighters, the likes of Frampton, Burnett, Michael Conlon, Jamie Conlon, even Tyron McKenna, how do you think Lewis Crocker will get on in terms of profile and achievements?
Honestly, and I don't think, I think everyone would agree with me. Anyone that's watched them over the years, he only turned 20 there, so he obviously doesn't have the senior experiences in going to Europeans and Olympics and things like the likes of Paddy Barnes and Michael and Carl have all had that privilege to go and do that. But one thing he has is he's a tremendous boxing brain. People don't see it. It was actually Tommy McCarthy who came up to watch with Mark that day to spar, and he said, I've seen clips of him knocking people out.
I just one punches and that's it.
I've seen him knocking people out, so I want to see like how good he actually is. And after the spar, he turned around and says, "That kid's unbelievable." And that's something that it was even Steve Bunce I was talking to. He says you're going to see because Steve Bunce is a big fan of Lewis. He's watched his first 2 fights, and he said to me, you know, we are going to see the best out of that kid when people actually come to fight him, because he's powering both hands. Honestly, my elbows, I'm probably going to be riddled with arthritis by the time I'm 30. And like, he can punch with both hands. He could knock you out with any punch in the book. But honestly, you couldn't hit him with a handful of peas. If he went out with the mindset to just box defensively, you'd find it incredibly hard to land leather on his chin. The kid has it all. He's good looking, he's good physique, he can talk. He's a promoter's dream, and I have no doubt, you know, as Carl Frampton, you know, comes to the end of his career, as he said, there's maybe 2-3 years left in him, that you're going to see Lewis Crocker take that mantle and just go with it.
Let's talk a little bit about another young fighter in the stable who features on the undercard of Carl Frampton v Andres Gutierrez, and that is Padraig McCrory. What can you guys tell me about Padraig?
Paddy's classmate. He has power too. He boxed a couple of times in the same competitions as me as an amateur, but he's always been good, but he was never actually fit. And now you see him fit, and then you see him in good spurts, and I think he can at least do Irish titles, if not British.
Paddy is the most liked person in all of Belfast. In his debut, he sold close to 300 tickets, and he's just the nicest guy you could ever meet. And as Mark said, he never was really committed in his amateur career. I think he took
he won the ultra senior titles in 2 weeks training.
And
it's incredible.
But he's come back now. Me and him work in the same gym together, and he said he was interested in turning pro, and so I was obviously as a friend of his, and because he is such a nice guy, I says, look, Paddy, I'd love to help you. And so we started training together, and as I started to see him develop, his fitness was coming on, you know, and he was sparring frequently, and he was doing a lot of pad work with me. And you know, as Mark said, I thought, you know, Paddy could at least win a British title. But see now, as I'm seeing him get fitter, and you know, he's getting sparring consistently, like, I believe that he could go further than that. I really do. He can punch, and as I said, he's an R1, good looking, can box, can punch. So, and he sells tickets. And I know when someone can sell tickets and put bums on seats, they're more likely to go that wee bit further. So, you know, I think
Paddy the modelling company instead.
I should. I have a best looking. I have a
best looking
stable in Belfast. All I would need is probably Tommy McCarthy and Tyrone McKenna, and that would seal the deal. But definitely, you know, Paddy and Lewis, people are going to see tomorrow night how good they both are. Yeah. And I hope that maybe Lewis's opponent goes maybe longer than 1 or 2 rounds, because I want people to see how good he is.
He's potentially on at 8:30, 8:45.
I think so. I got the running order off Cyclone tonight, today there, and they says Paddy's on at 6 p.m. and Lewis is a swing bout, because they wanna have him on when the arena's filled, because he is such a popular lad.
Now, as well as developing these young talent, I mean, which is fantastic, you've also had some experienced established professionals join the stable in the form of the Anto brothers, the Upton brothers, the Anto brothers, in form of the Upton brothers. You've got 2/3 of the Upton brothers now in the camp.
Yeah.
What's it like working with Anto and Sonny day in, day out?
I've always known, because I would have been friendly with Anto and Mark would have been friendly with Sonny growing up, sort of in my teenage years, but like everyone knows how good the Upton brothers are, especially Anto and Sonny, and like I really believe that them lads, when they're switched on, fit, that they'll hold their own with anyone.
Yeah, so good. Like, I boxed Sonny twice. On the wrong end of the season twice.
Oh, really?
Got a big bloody nose. He boxed me up. I couldn't hit him with a handful of peas that day.
But no, like, I think when the public start to see Sonny and Anto, they're two characters. Like,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
they are. Like, see me and Sonny, if you could, see if I from London could come to my gym for a day, you'd think you were in Thompson's on a Wednesday night Funkorama, because all we do is dance all the time. But no, Sonny and Anto, I believe, with MTK and, with the way our gym's going, I believe that these next sort of 2 years, you're going to see them lads really pushing on now.
Ray, do you think you're the trainer to give them that continuity where, excuse me, they've been around a lot of gyms, they've taken in a lot of maybe different methods, different training regimes. Do you think you're the guy that will give them that continuity to bring them success?
Yeah, well, mate, I understand a lot of people would look at me and see me as, I'm only 24, excuse me, and people probably look at me and say, I'm inexperienced, and I am, because I haven't done the way most coaches would go and sort of be under another coach and come through that way. But the way it's happened, I've just had to go with it. And one thing I do with my boxers is, like, I'm learning as they're learning. Do you know what I mean? So we work together as a team, and I hope, and I'm certain actually that I am the guy for them, because I put the time in, James. I make sure that when my boxers go into a fight, there isn't 1 ounce of doubt. They know that I've been there. I'm out. I get married in 4 weeks, mate. My missus said to me last week, if you spend any more time with these boxers, there's not going to be a wedding. I swear. But I'm out anytime they need me. I'm there. And I think the biggest thing, I remember D. Walsh told me this. He says that Mickey Hawkins, who's a popular amateur.
Great fighter, D. Walsh, by the way. What was the
He
reason for his
retired too.
premature
He
retirement?
just packed it in.
D just, I don't know, he just fell out of love with boxing.
Sorry to interrupt what you said.
No, you're right. I think D fell out of love with boxing, but I think he's fell back in love with it now when he's coaching, and he's a great asset for my gym, mate, because I, as a boxer, I was aggressive and I wanted to get in there and take you out, whereas D was defense. So there's that balance there. There's that balance, and so the way the gym's going now, we've just got it all sorted. But back to Sonny and Anto, I think all them, because they've got all the ability. Everyone in our gym has the ability. All they really need is that wee bit of consistency and being out on the roads, their strength and conditioning being looked after, their nutrition being looked after, and then of course, like, a lot of lads in our gym are managed by MTK, and you couldn't ask for better management, because they're being busy, and it was Mark actually shared, what was that you shared? Sugar Ray Leonard said, inactivity is the biggest sin in boxing. And with MTK behind a lot of the lads,
staying busy all the time.
Have you got any aspirations to sort of promote any shows yourself, Mark? We've seen in the past, obviously, with the white collar stuff and stuff, learning the
I have one
things. What's going on with Ginley Promotions?
Yeah, and my next one is professional show on the 16th of September in the Dadney's complex. We're going to have, I'm working with Anto from MTK and stuff. and we're going to see what boxes they have available, and then hopefully in the next week we'll have an announcement of the main event.
Now the Devonish complex, I've been there before to watch boxing. I've been to the Celtic Clash.
With Leonard Gunning, yeah.
Leonard, it was a great
Was
show,
it was
great environment for boxing.
Yeah, those were we had most of our fights there too. I think I have 4 out of my 5 fights there. Oh, sorry, 3.
Alan Reynolds and Declan Trainer fought in the main event that night. It was
Stephen
such a
Reynolds,
fight.
Block
Stephen
Reynolds.
Reynolds, yes.
Block Reynolds, yes. What a man the Block is, by the way.
Yeah, so our next one's 16th of September. So everyone out there, buy your tickets.
Yep.
And I'm looking sponsors, so all our normal sponsors, I'll be calling you on Monday.
Never have too many sponsors. Firstly, Ginley Brothers, thank you very much for giving me some time. I do appreciate it. And, yeah, great to get you on the channel, lads. Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work, because we know that Belfast loves a bit of AFL TV.
And we appreciate you, Belfast, that's giving us some time. Keep turning out the talent. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.